Welcome to the Resilience Unlimited Show, your go to podcast for empowerment and growth. I'm Coach Dr. Lauren, founder of Resilience Unlimited, inviting you to join our transformative journey each week. This space is specially crafted for high achieving women, specifically women of color, where we can feel seen, heard, and part of a thriving community. This podcast is your compass for emotional regulation, understanding your purpose, and living unapologetically authentic. Ready to invest in yourself? This episode, I really want to talk about something that I have been experiencing. And, I don't usually open up about myself to people unless it's like one on one, but this is something that I know I need to start doing. And I'm all about authenticity, right? And resilience. And those of you who know me know that I am a very real, transparent person. So it only makes sense to actually demonstrate that, right? Not just have topics to share with you, but topics that I'm going through things, and it's sometimes things are hard for me. So I have my own coach and mentor, and she has really been encouraging me to kind of share more of my story. So I'm doing it in a way, I'm gradually releasing it in a way that feels safe. I'm going to put it that way. So if you saw last week's episode, you know that I kind of really expanded on my framework for my coaching program. And so very much inspired by Maslow's hierarchy of needs, because psychology and human behavior has always been incredibly important to me. And I think a lot of it is because of my childhood. But, I really wanted to speak on the higher authentic self. So that is like, based on my framework, that is basically understanding your values, your goals, constant self exploration, what goals, what techniques do you use to obtain your goals? Like that's really like that highest peak. And that's always been my end goal. I mean, I remember in high school, for some strange reason, I told a friend, I was like, yeah, my goal in life is to reach self-actualization. And I look back on that and I'm like, that is really profound that I said that at like 17, 18 years old. And here I am talking about this in my own framework. So I started reading this book that really opened up my eyes. Now, this is the season. When I say season, this year, I have a goal to read at least a minimum of 12 books. Now, when I say read, I mean like audiobook, because I've had to really give myself permission as a neurodiverse woman that I don't find pleasure in reading a book. I just don't, and I think I shamed myself for that for many years. Because I'm an educator and, I have my doctorate and all. I really don't like reading. It's so funny. Those of you who are listening who know my literacy side, you're like, what? I love getting information in, but I don't like the act of actually reading. It's just arduous for me. And I tend to like veer off. And it's honestly, it's exhausting for my eyes. So I'd rather listen. And also I'm very much of a kinesthetic learner. So I need to be like cooking or laundry or walking or working out, whatever it is. So I have constant struggles with feeling respect and unconditional love from my parents. And this has been really a part of my journey of growth and understanding how to support clients. And I think both sides of my business really are healing for me. So I look at the literacy side, working with kids, and being a former special educator, I want to nurture the child in me because I know what I didn't get. So I want to make sure that these children get what they need. And it's not even want, it's what they need. And I'm a strong advocate for that. And then I take my coaching side, and that is me healing myself by helping other women, because I'm looking at myself through different angles. Any good therapist is like, talk to your inner child, working on it. So one night I was in bed and I said, I really want more self-help books. Again, that higher self, that higher authentic self. How am I constantly exploring and being introspective? So I stumbled upon this book, And I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's called Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents. Okay, that title explains everything, right? And I it has opened up Pandora's box of emotions for me. And in tandem of that happening, things are happening behind the scenes, manipulation, guilt, shame, all these things. And it's a constant test for me to really balance myself. And so, on the day that I'm recording this, it's a Friday. So 2 days ago, Wednesday, I woke up and I was just not in the best headspace. And I was like, okay, let me still do my morning routine. Let me still pour into myself, basically the emotional essentials, that bottom tier, make sure I'm taking care of myself, my needs. And I did. And then I also decided to do some breath work. And I felt good after that. But if you know anything about breath work, it really releases a lot within your body. And so throughout the day, I was actually getting worse. I was like, why am I so sad and angry? Like all these emotions were coming up. Right. And so I was still able to be productive. So, like, those of you who know and work with me, like, I always have to tell myself, like, I am enough, I have enough, I do enough. And then I always check myself by saying, have I done something productive? Have I done something physical? Have I done something social? And have I done something to support my spiritual, mental side, the mindset approach? And if I tick all four of those, that's a great day. If I tick three, it's still a great day. For some reason on Wednesday, I was getting pretty much 3 out of 4 of those and I still was not feeling good. And so the next thing that I always do is I go for a swim. And the reason I love going for a swim is because it's quiet and there's no, I'm not, how do I say this? I'm not purposely tuning out by putting in earbuds. I am literally just letting the thoughts pour into me. And so what I realized was, between the breath work and releasing some emotions and this book that is dredging up all these emotional issues that I've either worked through but didn't work through enough, or I forgot about it and it's coming back. I was just a fucking wreck. And what I realized was, if I can live my life with my values, right? That's really what it's all about. So when I talk about the higher authentic self and living your goals and your values, that actually has nothing to do with anybody that you used to put on a pedestal, whether it be a parent, whether it be a grandparent, whatever it is. And so I find myself needing that validation or that support or that something. My cat just knocked something over. Those of you who are watching, sorry. But I find myself really wanting to get something externally. And so when I was swimming, I was doing my mental push-ups and I literally said to myself, I'm the person that validates myself. I'm the person that can trust myself. I'm the person who respects myself. I'm authentic, I'm honest, and I'm transparent with myself. And because of that, I'm curious to learn more. I'm curious to dig deeper. I'm curious to really understand, what does it take for me to reach that higher authentic self every single day. And so this was like back and forth laps, and I'm in the pool for 30 minutes. And I realized, first of all, my top 2 core values are, oh, thank you. I just got some. Those of you who are watching are probably like, what the fuck was that? I don't know. My Zoom sometimes like throws up balloons or thumbs up sometimes whenever I'm like working with students. It's weird. But I my two top core values are authenticity and curiosity. And so I'm finding, as I'm reflecting on my relationships, that those whom I'm closest to align with my core values. And I think what causes me to regress is when I think of emotionally immature people in my life and how I'm putting them on some sort of pedestal or have some sort of ridiculous expectation that actually is really not even relevant. And it doesn't even align with my core values. And that was really like that clarity, that moment of clarity where I was like, you know what? I'm good with me. And I'm tired of trying to impress somebody who doesn't want to be self reflective, who doesn't want to realize that the things they say and their actions are actually extremely hurtful. I don't want to be around people who take zero accountability for their actions and then blame other people for the reasons that they're not happy or they're not getting what they want. And although it was a very aha moment, it was sad. It's a lot of mixed feelings. But as I'm reading this book, Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents, it really gives me a place to understand that I'm moving in the right direction. I'm taking care of me. And so when I think about coaching clients, I realize the reason that this framework is set up the way it is because of exactly what I am experiencing right now. If I didn't know what I needed to calm my nervous system down, I would be a wreck. I mean, we all have bad days. We all have emotions, but it's like, how long do we allow ourselves to stay in those emotions? How long do we allow ourselves to let that emotion impact everything else around us? It's just not necessary. A feeling is a feeling. It's when you give it life and you give it oxygen and you keep watering that feeling is when it starts growing. And if you are familiar with Earl Nightingale, he is a like old timey 1950s, 40s motivational speaker. And I don't want to say his biggest work, but I always quote this, The Strangest Secret. And to give you the Cliff's Notes, the strangest secret is we become what we think about. And so he talks about this analogy of your mind is like a fertile field. So think of like an open field. Think of like middle America, if you know United States, and it's just like cornfields. Like think of that. Okay. You plant corn or you plant poison. No matter what happens, the ground is going to have it grow up in abundance. And so if we constantly hold on to regret, shame, guilt, fear, anger, frustration, animosity, resentment, I mean, the list goes on, we are just killing our insides. And then if you're familiar with Joe Dispenza's work, he really talks about how your emotions manifest into disease. And if you're not tending to your mindset, it stays within your body, which is why the breath work is so important to release all of that. It's all connected. And so if you don't know how to center yourself, you're not going to get to that higher authentic self at all. And so I really felt compelled to share just a sliver. Obviously, this is just a sliver of what's going on behind the scenes here. But I was really back and forth. And I'm like, you know what? Authenticity is really who I am. So why not be authentic? Why not be real? If you're a devoted listener, you're not here to just get tips and tricks. You actually are here because you want to find that authenticity. I've been told by colleagues and friends of mine, like, I just love how you keep it real. You just tell it straight. And I've always been like that. Now, when I was younger, it wasn't always as polished. I might have, in a moment of, in the heat of the moment, I might have cursed out someone. And really, it probably could have been worded a little bit better. But you know what? That's a part of my journey. That's a part of me. And I know, because I did an astrological natal reading, I have a lot of fire in me, which propels me to kind of move forward, but I sometimes need a little bit more air and water to slow down. And that's another reason why I like the pool. The water, it just flows. And I just want things to flow. So I actually am tasking you with when you are going through something really challenging or something that is just unfathomable, something that you're like, I don't know how I can get through this. Because really the only way to is through. You can't go around, you can't go up, you can't go under. We're not doing prepositions right now. We're going through. The only way to go through something is to really be reflective and say, okay, what were my behaviors and how did I get here? And what's my outcome? I think more than often we don't think about the outcome. We just go through the motions. So if your outcome is, I really want to respectfully express what I'm feeling and thinking by still being true to my values, then you're going to get through it. It might be uncomfortable, it might give you anxiety, but as long as you're clear on that, you'll be good. So I invite you to change certain behaviors and actions. So it's again, Joe Dispenza talks about this. The body is very used to, we're wired to think and do what is like muscle memory. So let's just use this as an example. Let's say your paycheck comes in and you immediately get anxious. You immediately are like, oh my God, all this is going to my bills. Oh my God, like I'm never going to have money. Oh my God. Like all of a sudden it's like an avalanche of negativity. And then your body starts responding to it. And then your mind's responding to it. And then all of a sudden it just becomes a part of you, which then can turn into that dis-ease. It might be depression. It might be more anxiety. But what if you decide the second that this negative thing happens, this is always my knee-jerk response. Let me immediately change that. Now that takes a lot of willpower. That takes a lot of introspection to say, oh my God, I'm responding this way again. So you have to be aware of your responses. And then you have to have the resources to say, well, why don't I try this? And then you actually have to implement this. And then you need to keep doing it over and over and over and over again. And that's really difficult. But I'm here to tell you it's possible. So if there's something that you're not getting in a situation, a relationship, whatever, maybe you need to change your perspective or change the way that you respond. Then you might surprise yourself. And of course, we want those big macro wins, right? Oh man, I turned my life around. But you have to have the micro wins to get there. As they say, there's no escalator to success. You got to take the stairs. So I hope that this resonated with you. If it didn't, I can't believe you're still listening to this. But I am excited to kind of share a little bit more about me, because that's really important. And I think also in the coaching world, I've been scammed. I've lost thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on people that only wanted my credit card information. And that obviously did not go with my values. And so I never want anybody who is interested in working with me to ever question, like, is she really authentic? Does she really care about me? I do, because I've been there. And especially in this world, this day and age of coaching, like people just prey on people. And that's a pet peeve of mine. When people are preying on the weak, that does not sit well with me at all. I feel like it's injustice, and that's not authentic. And that I'm curious to know how I can help. So if you're interested in hearing more about my coaching program, I'd be excited to have a discovery call with you, get to know you. And just remember, I use a framework. And so my framework is highly inspired by Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And it's all about how do we get you in that emotional essentials place to really have things put in place so when you are having those moments, you can go back to feeling grounded. And then how do we really address and understand the emotional comfort and security within who you are at all times? It doesn't matter where you are. Wherever you go, there you are. So it's really all about how do you feel? And then the third pillar is all about that connection and belonging. Because if we don't feel connected, we're disconnected. If we don't feel like we belong, then there are negative feelings that are happening. And that esteem and self-worth. And that is a constant thing we are always, always like oiling the wheel, if you will. And then, of course, that small tip is that higher authentic self. So be sure to schedule a discovery call if you're interested in talking, and I will actually see you guys sometime next week. Thanks for listening. Thank you for joining us this week on the Resilience Unlimited show. Be sure to hit subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe on our YouTube channel and follow us on social media. See you next week, Divas. And don't forget, stay resilient.